For more than a century, freak shows captivated, shocked, and entertained people, presenting individuals with rare physical traits. From conjoined twins to bearded women, these performers were both exploited and celebrated, transforming their differences into a livelihood. Yet behind the curtain, their lives were often far more complicated than the spectacle revealed. Who were these real-life circus freaks, and what became of them? Let's uncover the astonishing and sometimes tragic histories of the 15 most disturbing circus freaks who actually existed. Number 15. Monsieur Behin, the French giant. Jean Behin was born in Belgium in 1805 and grew into a man impossible to ignore. Reports of his height varied wildly, from nearly 7 feet to close to 8. But whatever the number, his frame was impressive enough to fill a stage. He wasn't just tall, he could sing, act, and perform feats of strength, often mixing comedy into his routines. By the 1840s, he was famous across Europe and soon crossed the Atlantic to join Barnum's American Museum. There, he even brawled with another giant, Colonel Goshen, until Barnum demanded they pause the fight so he could sell tickets for the rematch. Behin acted in plays, promoted the Union cause during the Civil War, and toured relentlessly. His personal life, however, carried shadows. A marriage ended on charges of cruelty, and he was accused of racism during the Goshen fight. Complicated and commanding, Behin died in 1873 and was laid to rest in Brooklyn's Greenwood Cemetery. Number 14. Major Zamora. Major Zamora's real name and dates are lost to time, but his act made him unforgettable. Barely 32 inches tall, he worked the dime museum circuit in the 1890s, promoted as a contortionist with triple-jointed limbs. His body was unusually flexible, allowing him to crawl into impossibly small spaces, cabinets, boxes, and even specially built glass bottles. Audiences compared him to an octopus, marveling as he wriggled out again with ease. Zamora performed on New York's Bowery and toured to St. Louis, where he met Tina Guffman, a little person promoted as the world's smallest woman. Though taller than he was, she married him in 1893, becoming Tina Zamora. The pair traveled together, drawing attention not just for their stature, but for the teamwork of their act. Beyond these details, his story fades into the shadows of sideshow history. Still, Zamora embodied the ingenuity of performers who use their own bodies as the ultimate stage trick. Number 13. The Alligator Girl. Esther Parnell was born in 1926 in Kenley with ichthyosis, a condition that caused her skin to appear dry, scaly, and rough. Alongside her brother Bill, who shared the condition, she was exhibited from the 1940s as part of Joe Hilton's Sideshow, promoted as one half of the Alligator Twins. Audiences stared at her skin, but Esther built a career from it. In 1947, she married musician Thomas Blackman, and together they struck out on their own. The following year, she gave birth to her first child and began billing herself as the world's strangest mother. Over time, she had 7 children in total, balancing family life with the stage. She continued performing until 1982, making a living under the carnival tents. In the 1970s, Esther appeared in 2 horror films, The Mutations and The Sentinel, where her act was shown on screen. She died in 2003, remembered not only as a performer, but as a mother who carried her family forward. Number 12. The Human Owl. Martin Lorello, born Martin Emmerling around 1886, built a career out of a physical gift that was both astonishing and unsettling. He could turn his head almost completely backward, earning the nickname the Human Owl. Lorello began performing in Europe in his 20s before moving to America in 1921, where Coney Island became his stage. He later joined Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, as well as Dick Best's Royal American shows. Audiences gasped at his unusual flexibility, which seemed almost impossible. By the 1940s, he was still working sideshows, appearing with Ripley's alongside other curiosities like Popeye Perry and 7-year-old Junior Stiles, nicknamed Lobster Boy. Though little is recorded about his personal life, his act left an impression strong enough to secure a place in sideshow lore. Laurello's career stretched across decades, reminding audiences that human variation could be both eerie and captivating. He worked until the mid-1940s, living out a long, peculiar career defined by one extraordinary twist. Number 11. Colonel and Mrs. Reuben Steer. Reuben Allen Steer was born in 1838 in Gloucester, and by adulthood stood just 3 feet 8 inches tall, weighing 43 pounds. Promoted as colonel, he performed with Stone and Murray's Circus, Carl Stephen Bailey's Circus, and the Lilliputian Opera Company, traveling widely across the United States. In 1880, he married Rebecca Ann Myers, a fellow little person from Indiana, and the pair turned their marriage into a lifelong partnership, both on stage and off. They continued performing together until 1906, when they retired to Shepashay, Rhode Island. Retirement didn't mean obscurity. They operated a poultry farm, ran a restaurant, opened a candy shop, and became part of the community. Reuben even worked as a truant officer, a role he supposedly carried out with fiery zeal. For locals, he was both a showman and a neighbor. He died in 1915, remembered not just for his size, but for building a life that fused circus spectacle with tiny town grit. Number 10. The Scandinavian Giant. Clifford Thompson came into the world in Wisconsin in 1904 and grew into a man who seemed to stretch past every doorway. Show posters bragged he measured 8 feet 7, though the truth was closer to 7.5, still towering above nearly everyone alive. For 8 years, he worked the circus circuit, first with Al G. Barnes and later with Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey, before stepping away to try other pursuits. His size made him a natural for advertising, and soon he was promoting milk, beer, shoes, and cars. In middle age, he reinvented himself again, studying law and earning a degree, practicing for several years as what many called the tallest lawyer in history. Hollywood even cast him in films like Sealskins and Murder in the Private Car. Thompson craved recognition as the tallest man, even challenging Robert Wadlow, only to be easily dwarfed in public. He died in 1955, remembered as ambitious but restless. Number 9. Perumal Sami. Perumal, aka the double-bodied Hindu enigma, was born in India in 1888 with a parasitic twin attached to his chest. To sell tickets, promoters dressed the undeveloped body in girls' clothing and presented it as siblings, Perumal and Sami. Early in his career, he toured with his cousin Supramanian Munsami, a little person, alongside others cruelly marketed as pinheads, Gondia, and Apexia. Between 1900 and 1915, Sami performed with Ringling Brothers, where fascination and mockery came in equal measure. Accounts suggest he never warmed to America, finding life there exploitative and isolating. Eventually, he returned to India, choosing distance from the stage that had commodified his body. His story highlights how circuses built myths from hardship, erasing truth for spectacle and profit. Sami's reluctant years in the spotlight remain one of sideshow history's more unsettling chapters, a reminder of how dignity was often ignored in favor of curiosity, long before compassion or human rights entered the conversation. Number 8. Ella Ewing, the Missouri Giantess. Ella was born in 1872 in the small farming community of Gorin. At 9, she began to grow at a pace that startled everyone around her, eventually reaching more than 8 feet tall. Some skeptics claimed she was closer to 7 feet, but to her neighbors and audiences, she was the tallest lady they had ever seen. Her deeply religious parents resisted offers to put her on display, but by her 20s, she agreed, on the condition that they could accompany her as chaperones. Billed as the Missouri Giantess, She toured dime museums, appeared at Chicago's 1893 World's Fair, and later joined Barnum and Bailey, Sells Floto, and Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. Ella was careful with her money, eventually building a specially designed home with high ceilings so she could live comfortably. By 1910, she retired with financial independence, though illness soon overtook her. She died in 1913 at just 40, remembered for both stature and foresight. Number 7. The Cardiff Giant. George Auger was born in Cardiff, Wales in 1881, a city that gave him the nickname the Cardiff Giant. It had nothing to do with Barnum's earlier hoax, just geography. Auger stood over 7 feet 4, though promoters happily stretched the figure to 8 feet 4 to sell tickets. His break came when he attended a Barnum and Bailey show in England. He towered above the giant on display, and before long he was offered a place in the lineup. By 1903, he had crossed the Atlantic and remained in America, where he found steady work. In 1906, he launched a vaudeville act based on Jack the Giant Killer, starring himself alongside the Horvath Midgets. The show toured for a decade, mixing fairy tale spectacle with sideshow novelty. Auger later returned to the circus and was even cast in Harold Lloyd's Why Worry, but died suddenly in 1922 at only 41. Audiences remembered him as Captain, a title supposedly bestowed by the Queen. Number 6. Celesta Geyer. Celesta Herrmann, later known as Celesta Geyer, grew up gaining weight rapidly, reaching 150 pounds by 6th grade and over 300 by high school graduation. Marriage brought hardship when her husband lost his job, and in desperation, she joined a carnival. Under names like Dolly Dimples, Jolly Dolly, and the world's most beautiful fat lady, she became a star. At just under 5 feet tall, she eventually reached 555 pounds, headlining with Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey during the 1930s and 40s. Her career nearly ended in 1950 when she suffered a heart attack. Instead of giving up, she reinvented herself. Embracing strict baby food diets, she lost 443 pounds in just over a year. Dolly transitioned from sideshow headliner to teacher, writing a diet book, giving lectures, and inspiring others with her survival story. She lived decades longer, proof of resilience in both body and spirit. Now, what's even more amazing is that in 2014, long after her passing, she was honored in Coney Island's Sideshow Hall of Fame. Number 5. The Ohio Bigfoot Girl. From claw-like hands to oversized feet, the circus often showcased those whose bodies defied convention. Among them was Fannie Mills, also known as the Ohio Bigfoot Girl. Born in 1860 with Milroy disease, a rare disorder causing massive swelling of the limbs, her feet grew to a shocking 19 inches long and 7 inches wide. Despite standing only 5 feet 2 and weighing 115 pounds, the contrast between her petite frame and enormous feet fascinated audiences. By 1885, Fannie embraced her difference and joined the sideshow circuit, touring across the United States. Audiences flocked not only to see her feat, but also to admire her grace and charm. Promoters even stirred curiosity by offering a $5,000 reward to any man who married her. Yet behind the spectacle was tenderness. In 1886, she met William Brown, the brother of her nurse, and fell deeply in love. Their marriage, away from the stage, proved love could thrive even in the most unlikely places. Number 4. Dick Hilburn. Dick Hilburn from North Carolina lived with a condition so rare it left him with only one fully developed limb, his right arm. Yet that arm carried him across circus midways, where he pushed himself on a skateboard with determination that captivated audiences. Nicknamed the Quarterman, his body may have defined the billing, but not the man. Hilburn built his own traveling show, employing others like Carl Norwood, remembered as the Frog Boy, Beyond the stage, he worked as a tattoo artist and sign painter, his single arm crafting independence as surely as it drew attention. In an era with little compassion for disability, Hilburn didn't ask for permission. He created a livelihood on his own terms. He died in 1971, remembered not as a curiosity, but as a man who survived through grit, resourcefulness, and self-reliance. On the midway, his name symbolized persistence. In life, it stood for resilience and unapologetic pride. Number 3. The three-legged wonder. While oversized feet captured attention, Francesco Frank Lentini stunned audiences with something even rarer, a third leg. Born in Sicily in 1889, Lentini's condition came from a parasitic twin that never fully separated, leaving him with an extra leg attached at his right hip. Refusing to view it as a curse, he embraced his difference as a gift. He mastered astonishing coordination, learning to walk, run, and even ride a bicycle with 3 legs. Promoters quickly noticed, and by age 8, he was sailing to the United States. There, he earned fame as the Great Lentini, dazzling crowds with football tricks, dancing, and jumping hurdles. His performances blended athleticism with uniqueness, making him one of the most iconic circus figures of his time. Yet Lentini's life stretched far beyond spectacle. He became a U.S. citizen, married, raised a family, and later bought a farm in Italy. In short, his legacy still shines today. Number 2. The four-legged girl. Human variation has always fascinated, and few embodied it like Myrtle Corbin, the four-legged girl. Born in Tennessee in 1868 with dipigus, a rare congenital anomaly, Myrtle possessed 2 separate pelvises, each with its own pair of legs. Far from treating her condition as a hindrance, she embraced her uniqueness and turned it into an opportunity. At only 13, she entered the circus circuit and immediately became a sensation. Crowds marveled at her ability to move all 4 legs independently, while physicians traveled nationwide to examine her remarkable anatomy. But Myrtle's story extended beyond the stage. She discovered love in James Clinton Bicknell, a man who cherished her beyond physical differences. Together, they had 4 children, a family that symbolized resilience and acceptance. Myrtle's life demonstrated that humanity's strength lies not only in enduring the extraordinary, but also in finding joy within it. Though her body defied expectations, her legacy stands as a testament to courage, love, and perseverance. Number 1. The legless acrobat. While Myrtle fascinated crowds with her 4 legs, another performer redefined possibility by thriving without legs at all. Eli Bowen, born in 1844 with a rare condition called focal congenital deformity, where his feet were attached directly to his pelvis, is remembered as a true marvel of endurance and strength. Instead of allowing his condition to confine him, Eli broke barriers from an early age. He trained his upper body relentlessly, becoming extraordinarily powerful and agile. By 13, he entered the sideshow circuit, soon earning the title the Legless Acrobat. His feats astonished audiences, walking on his hands, executing acrobatic stunts, and even riding horses with astonishing balance. Bowen's daring high-wire acts showcased how his arms became his sole anchors of mobility and control. Yet his life extended beyond spectacle. Eli was a husband, a father, and above all, a man who proved that courage and spirit could eclipse the harshest limitations. To many, he embodied resilience in its truest form. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you very soon.